Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John and this is Matt, and today we're going to be talking a little bit of tech. Even though we say in all our videos that if you like our videos, we do tech reviews. Believe it or not, today we're doing a tech review because me and Matt both just grabbed this Sony X800M2. It's a brand new 4K Blu-ray player from Sony, and we decided we're going to review it for you. So if you guys like this video, make sure you like, share, and hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on. So, little backstory for you. Me and Matt usually watch all of our 4K Blu-rays, for the most part, on our Xbox Series X.
Or PlayStation 5.
Or PlayStation 5. And Matt also had a 4K player before this, I believe, many years ago. It
was an older Sony that didn't have the Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, or any of that. So we figured with the Xbox and the PlayStation, it's still a good way to watch your 4K discs and all that. However, it does not support Dolby Vision on physical discs. Yes, you can stream Dolby Vision all day long with the consoles, but for some reason they won't add it to the Blu-ray player app, which is also annoying that it's an app to watch your Blu-rays on the consoles. So we figured, you know what, we're reviewing movies, we should have every possible capable feature of the disc, so we had to get something that supported Dolby Vision, and we got a dedicated Blu-ray player.
Yep, so Matt basically hooked this up to the TV that you see behind him, which is a LG C10, and I hooked mine up to my Sony 950H. Now, we both also have LG C1s that we both will use time to time to review movies and video games, but for the most part, these will be hooked up to our main movie-watching TVs with our surround sounds. Matt has a Sonos, I have a Samsung surround sound system. And basically, so we decided, okay, this is the one we want. This is right now, on today's date, it is $249, down from $329. This one supports HDR10 and Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, DTS.
So this has all the new features. You got your 4K HDR, you got the high-res audio, you have your Dolby Vision, you got it all. It upscales all your Blu-rays.
Even DVDs it upscales.
Yeah, it upscales DVDs. It's a great standalone player, and you can also stream some of your services. It only supports Netflix, YouTube, and Prime Video, which is a little bit weak. I mean, they're not bad streaming services, but they forgot Disney Plus, they forgot Hulu, they forgot Peacock. You know, there's a lot of other ones on here, so don't go in thinking this is like an Apple TV or an Xbox or something where you can download any app. This doesn't have every single app, but it's a dedicated Blu-ray player, and that's the main reason we got it. It was strictly for the Dolby Vision, and I really think Dolby Vision is worth the price of the Blu-ray player alone.
Yes, and to give you a shining example of this, I reviewed for this channel Men in Black's 4K a couple weeks ago, and I made note of two specific scenes where I thought the color looked faded, and that's because I was watching it in HDR10 and not in Dolby Vision. So the first thing I did when I got this is, because those two scenes stuck out to me, and we're both fans of Jeff at Films at Home, and he just shined it up about how nice Men in Black's 4K was. And I thought Men in Black's 4K was amazing, but I said those two scenes really did stick out to me, how the color looked faded. So I went back and I looked at those two scenes with Dolby Vision turned on, and it actually fixed that problem. So that means that, you know, Dolby Vision will clean up things more than HDR will, especially if it's like a designated, like that was the big thing for Men in Black, was adding Dolby Vision to it. That's the only thing they added from the original 4K is they just threw that over. That fixed some problems.
And now, just to clear things up, Dolby Vision is basically Dolby's version of HDR.
Mm-hmm.
But they, you know, Dolby is just the top dog, and they just know what they're doing, and they know how to do it. And I prefer Dolby Vision over HDR in most cases.
Yeah, HDR10 isn't bad, but you would prefer to always have that Dolby Vision.
Even though it's the same thing, you know, it's like an iPhone versus an Android at this point. But most of the time, Dolby Vision tends to prevail over the HDR10.
Yeah, there's other examples, like Super 8's another one where the HDR and the Dolby Vision were both on the disc, but the Dolby Vision looked better. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, I haven't run into it yet where HDR looked better than Dolby Vision. Dolby Vision seems to always be the better version of your choice of high dynamic range, but I'm sure it's out there. You know, we don't have every single 4K disc to look at, but between me and Matt, we have most of them.
Right.
So we can definitely, do some comparison videos about that. But, you know, I really do think that this player is great. I think it's awesome for what it does. Like I said, I've tested out a bunch of different stuff on it. Me and Matt both did. First thing I tested was Men in Black, and then I tested Terminator today, which is a Blu-ray, and that looked better, which is good because that's coming from a 4K scan. So I was glad to see the upscaling. The blacks looked a little bit deeper than it used to when I used to just watch the Blu-ray on my Xbox or on an old Blu-ray player, because it's a pretty old Blu-ray. So that really did help it. And also one thing for me personally that I love is when you click on the setup options, there's an option called accessibility. That's for people with vision or hearing problems. I have a vision problem. So I like it when a player allows me to change the subtitles to gigantic pretty much, and in yellow and bold so I can see it better. And this lets you do that too. A lot of great setting options in there.
Yeah, so when I first got it, like any device I get, I go through all the settings and I make sure the firmware is updated. And so one thing I did notice that it looks like some other people online have had the same issue is you have to turn Dolby Vision on in the settings. However, you could put an old Blu-ray that Dolby Vision didn't even exist at the time, and it still forces Dolby Vision on. Now, I don't know if they're doing that at a hardware level, because the disc itself does not have Dolby Vision on it. But it'll still pop up. I don't know if you guys have an LG, but with the LG, when you put a disc in, it'll say Dolby Vision in the top, or HDR, or whatever, or Dolby Atmos, whatever is popping up because it changes formats when it goes from like certain screens. So when you put the disc in, it'll just automatically Dolby Vision. And same thing when you turn the player on, it's Dolby Vision. So it's forcing Dolby Vision. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion, but I don't know how correct it is, because on the remote there's a display option. You can jump into there and it'll still say Dolby Vision, it'll say your bit rate, it'll say what audio format you're in, PCM 7.1, 5.1, Atmos, it'll do all that stuff. But it's just strange to me that it's forcing Dolby Vision upon everything that goes into that player. So if that bothers you, then just keep that in mind. It's not affecting the picture in a negative way, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I went through and I tested this today myself with a bunch of different discs, and like Matt said, what'll happen is even if you put a disc in that doesn't have Dolby Vision, you hit that display option on your remote and it says it's playing in Dolby Vision. Now, what you have to do is go back into the setup options, because you're not allowed to change display options on the remote when playing something and Dolby Vision is playing over it. So you have to go all the way back to setup, turn off Dolby Vision, go back to HDR, turn it to auto, and then it should fix that problem if it's actually causing a problem. So that's the only thing. Also, Dolby Vision also turns off the Sony Bravia settings, which is like kind of intermingling it. If you I have a Sony TV, so I kind of wanted them to be intertwined, but if I wanted to keep Dolby Vision on, I had to turn that setting off. So that's just some little negatives that I noticed with this.
Yeah, now when he mentioned the Sony, my previous TV to the LG, I had a Sony as well, and I had a Sony receiver and a Sony Blu-ray player, 4K player at the time. And all you needed was one remote. Everything integrates, all Sony stuff, they integrate it all together, and it works beautifully. So if you have a Sony TV, the Sony Blu-ray player is definitely the way to go. It's a very nice unit. It's sleek. It's a little big, but it's not ugly. It's pretty much all black. It's got a matte finish, and John will throw some screenshots up on the screen for you. But it's a nice unit. It doesn't make much or any noise at all. I mean, while you're watching the movie, you generally have the surround sound and stuff on or whatever, so you're not going to hear it anyway. But in a quiet room, you hear a very, very faint hum, nothing crazy, so you don't have to worry about that. It does have a second HDMI out, so now if you have a crazy home theater, you could have one HDMI cable going directly to your screen, and then the other one would be an audio out only.
I saw this.
Yeah, HDMI. So that would go to your receiver if you didn't want to pass your video through your receiver. So you could have the audio go to one spot and the video to another, which is a nice thing to have for those real high-end home theater systems.
Just to avoid any lag, because I remember you having problems when you first got your Samsung system and it drove you nuts. You couldn't hear that lag forever. Yeah, that was a nightmare.
The lip sync issues are terrible, but I haven't experienced any of that. It does have lip sync technology in there where you can adjust stuff on the fly. It's got options you can toggle on and off. There's a ton of options in here, so you can really play with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with Matt completely. I think that this is definitely going to be a recommendation from the both of us. We're both pretty satisfied with our order of this, and we're definitely going to, this is what we'll be using for all of our 4K Blu-ray reviews going forward, unless we'll make a note of it if we do something different. So I just want to give you guys a quick review, well, I guess it wasn't that quick, of this 4K player, and let you know what, if you're on the market, check this one out. We think you'll like it.
It was $329 down to $259. I think we paid for
$249.
$249. Yeah, so we saved a few dollars. And again, it's always nice to have a designated player.
Yeah.
It sounds great. It looks great. It performs perfectly. You know, and it's just great that it upscales older stuff, and it honestly looks so much better because compared to watching it on the Xbox and the PlayStation, I really do notice a difference on the designated player versus the consoles. And we were watching it on the consoles for a very long time, and we finally got the designated player, and it's like night and day almost. So I can highly recommend picking up a Blu-ray player. I think Sony is probably going to be the top dog in there because, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Sony is kind of behind Blu-ray, right?
That's their technology.
Right.
Yeah.
So Sony would be the top dog, I think, to go with. I think that's what everyone generally... I know Panasonic is...
That's what Dennis has. He has a
there.
4K Panasonic.
Which isn't bad. You could check it out. Just make sure it ticks all the same boxes, you know. Panasonic's not a bad brand. But we like Sony here, and we really did it for the Dolby Vision, and it's way worth it.
Yeah, because really, honestly, another thing I just want a quick note before we go. If you are watching on the Xbox or the PlayStation 5, those are not bad 4K Blu-ray players. This is just because for the fact if you are just a cinephile, or like us where you're running a YouTube channel where you have to like really get down to every detail of the 4K Blu-ray, because really, that's the only reason we bought this, was for the reviews.
For Dolby Vision, really.
Dolby, yeah. We wanted to make sure that our reviews are completely 100% accurate. So, but the PlayStation and the Xbox, they do have great 4K players. And if you don't watch that much movies and you just watch movies sometimes, but you're more of a gamer, there's no problem with your 4K player and your Xbox or PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. This is for the hardcore enthusiast, this is for the home theater enthusiast, or this is for the person that has zero interest in a gaming console.
Mm-hmm.
But also keep in mind that the streaming services on here are very light. So
yeah, an Xbox or PlayStation is going to have every streaming service. So it might be, you got to weigh your options before you go out and make the purchase. But this is our recommendation if you're looking for a standard 4K Blu-ray player. So, as always, thank you for stopping by. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.